you. Do you believe it? Yeah. All things are possible. All things are possible because we understand who we are. We understand how the universe works. We understand that we are the presence of the one incarnating as life itself, as our individual beings. And it is our birthright to inherit the kingdom. Yes? This is what we understand. And the more that we understand it, the more possible these things become. The more real they are to us, the more that we can engage in them, not only for our own benefit, but for the benefit that we then are in the world, for the way in which we can contribute our gifts and talents, our time, our treasures, and all that we have, that we came here to be and to do in community and in relationship with each other. And so to really understand that it's possible, this is not just an idea, it's not just a spiritual feel-good notion. This is actually an idea that's based in the fundamental principles and laws of the universe itself. So we started out with this idea that we live in an abundant life. We live in an abundant universe. You just have to look out there and see. You see the abundance of the types of flowers there are, and the abundance and all of the ways in which nature shows up so abundantly. Reverend Karen also talked so beautifully about that you can't use up the love that you have to give. We have an abundance of love, and you can't actually use it up. And we live in an abundant universe. And then we went on to really explore the idea of mental equivalence, that it is what we hold on the inside that is moving out into the world, that it is that which we then want, that we experience in life. It actually starts here first. It starts in our minds, in our hearts, in our consciousness, in our ability to embody that which we want to experience, that love, that joy, that abundance. So then the question is, how does that work? How does it work to translate this idea that we live in an abundant universe, this idea that we understand that it begins in our consciousness? How does that actually come out into physical form? And this is not a blind walk in faith. We don't actually ask God to change its mind or decide to give us something that isn't already present, because we actually live in an abundant universe. The abundance, we are awash in it. It is the dipper with which we come to it, or the bucket, or the swimming pool, or the ocean that we come to this abundant life with. And it is then the way in which we understand our part. Now, our part is to understand and use these universal principles and laws in a way that we are consciously engaging with it. So today we're talking about the three great spiritual laws that really allow us to consciously and specifically move our mental equivalent and our deep belief in the abundance of the universe into an experience and a lived out picturing in our own lives. This is so far beyond the power of positive thinking and just using affirmations because we were told to use affirmations than you can imagine. This is the opportunity that we delve deeply into realizing that we are actively engaged in the co-creative process, that we are in fact made in the image and likeness of the divine, and that we have exactly the same creative power in our lives as God has in the life of the universal. All we have to do is understand and use it. So in exploration of these three great laws, we're going to start out with this notion that we can look into nature and we can discover things about the universe. And we recognize that what we discover in nature is an outpicturing of some deep and profound truth of the spiritual universe, because we know the physical universe is simply a reflection of that. So we can look into nature, and it can teach us something about these universal principles and laws. So there are 4 laws that literally are fields that shape the space-time continuum. They are often expressed as laws, but they're actually fields within which the physical space-time continuum operates. And so they are also called forces. So laws, fields, and forces. These words are used slightly interchangeably to describe these four laws, or these four forces. So the first one is called the strong force. And you'll see it is the strong force that binds the nucleus of an atom together. It actually is attracting and drawing itself in on itself so that these particles become a magnet in the center of the atom. And this force is operating, it's the field within which the atoms form their essential nature and reality and come into being. This strong force binds the nucleus of the atom together. So this force works on the subatomic level. The second force is the electromagnetic force, which binds the atoms together, which is the force that binds those electrons that we know from quantum physics are constantly winking into and out of existence. They don't actually, they're more than possibilities. All things are possible. Actually, lots of things are also probable, and that is what creates the atoms as they come into being. This electromagnetic force draws these atom pieces together and holds them in place, so that when the electron winks into existence, it winks into existence in a place where it's supposed to be. And it's constantly moving in there. It's constantly having all kinds of possibilities about where it's going to show up. But it shows up somehow circulating through this process in the atom it's supposed to be in. All right, then there are these other two forces that work side by side. You'll notice that there's the weak force, which is radioactive decay, and then there's the gravitational force. Now, the gravitational force, you see, also has arrows pointing in. The gravitational force, it works like the electromagnetic force, but it works on the macrocosmic scale. The gravitational force is literally the field that holds the galaxies into shape, that holds our solar system into shape. And it's constantly drawing things toward itself in a way that allows these galactic objects to actually be in relationship to each other. Without the gravitational field or the gravitational force, everything would simply fly apart into sort of infinity and would break out of existence. Now, you'll notice that if you look at this weak force, weak force is the only force that has an arrow pointing outwards, isn't it? The weak force in radioactive decay. Now, I went to Wikipedia, and I went to the Deaf Dictionary, and I went to numerous physics and encyclopedia sites, and I cannot explain to you the weak force. It is at such a deep subatomic level, and they use words. I think I really understood every 5 words. The, and of. And they were talking about bosons and quarks and I don't know what all, and it was like, okay, I really have to learn a lot more physics to understand what's going on here. However, there are 2 things that were said over and over and over again that jumped off the page at me every place where I read about the weak force, and that were these 2 things. First of all, in this weak force radioactive decay, as this movement outward is happening, this energetic movement outward is happening, it says it changes the flavor of the quarks. Chocolate to pistachio? I mean, I don't really get it. What do you mean it changes the flavor of the quarks? I liked it vanilla, I don't know. So actually what that means is it changes the nature, the essential nature of the quark. So the weak force actually changes the essential nature of the quark. You'll notice that in the other 3 forces, it's holding and binding and pulling and keeping things together, drawing them in. This is the only force that changes anything. The other thing that it does is in this weak force is that it changes the spin from up to down. I have no idea what that's important, but it does do that. It changes the spin from up to down. And again, in both cases, in both places, the scientists over and over and over and over again stated, this is the only force that changes anything. And it actually changes the nature of the physical reality as this force, this field is operating. Okay? So this is something really important to realize. So we have three forces that are moving this direction and only one force that's moving this direction, and that is the force that is moving this direction outwardly is the force that actually changes the fabric of the field. All right, so Ernest Holm says this: the road to freedom lies not through mysteries, but through the intelligent use of natural forces and laws. We do not create laws and principles, but we discover and make use of them. Right? We didn't create the law of electricity, but now we can do all kinds of things because we understand. We didn't create the law of gravity, but now we can understand and use it so we can fly airplanes and go into space. Our mind and spirit is our echo of the eternal thing itself. Our mind and spirit is the echo of the eternal thing itself, and the sooner we realize this fact, the sooner we will be made happy and free. You see, our mind and spirit is made in the image and likeness of the eternal thing. And so as we discover and use these laws and principles on the macrocosmic physical level, we actually can engage with them. But we are not just bound by the physical reality. We don't just live in the physical world. We understand ourselves to be spiritual beings, having this experience in the physical world. And that spiritual reality is also made in the image and likeness of the macrocosmic spiritual reality. So, as Reverend Karen said last week, she talked about as within, so without. The mental equivalent, as within, as we hold it in consciousness, so we see it outwardly. Well, another way we can think about that is the old phrase, as above, so below. This comes out of Plato and Platonic philosophy, the understanding which has really moved into what we teach, the understanding that it moves from spirit and mind into form, as above, so below. As is true in the spiritual reality, so it is true in the physical reality. Well, the other side of that coin is then also true. As below, so above. We can look at below and we can extrapolate how the laws are operating when we can see the laws out here. We can look in our own lives. We can extrapolate what's going on in our consciousness by knowing as below, so above. So if we want to know what we think and feel about a particular thing or issue, if we want to know what patterns and habits are running us, all we have to do is look at our lives and see how they are out picturing. And we can know that as below, so above. And so this is what allows us to begin to recognize that we have a relationship with this field that has been described here. So in our book, Busting Loose from the Money Game, Scheinfeld is just really, if you're reading it, I hope you are, he's blowing the doors off. And he's talking about that this is the field in which we play the human game. There is this field that we want to understand and explore, not just the physical field that we've been talking about, but how that's a reflection of the spiritual field, the spiritual reality. We might call it the field of consciousness. Scheinfeld talks about the creative process, which we also teach here in all of our classes. It's represented by that V up there in that symbol. That V represents the creative process. And he talks about the creative process as the patterns and power in the field. The patterns and power in the field that our expanded self can use to create our creations and our abundance. Now, the patterns in the field are the mental equivalents that were spoken about last week. Those are the patterns in the field. What we want to get a hold of is the power in the field. What are the laws that we can use as deliberately as the scientists use the four forces of nature, by understanding them and applying them into our own lives? Scheinfeld goes on to say, we need to shift our focus from the creations to the creative process, to the use of the law and the powers that shape the field. We need to stop focusing on the creations, the amount of abundance we have, the things that are going on in our lives, and focus on the field that has the patterns and the power to actually shape the creations. If we're busy focusing on the creations, all we're doing is playing the shell game. We're just manipulating out here. I got to move this job. I got to get what if my boss doesn't give me a raise? And oh my God, and what about the interest rates and the economy and blah, blah, blah. And all we're doing is we are focused on creation. And we're playing the creation game. We're playing the human game at that level. And as we know, it's never enough. We're never going to win that game. But when we shift our focus from manipulating creation, manipulating conditions, to the creative process, to the patterns and power in the field, which we already know is completely 100% full of abundance, when we make that shift, now we are the creator in our own lives in a specific and concrete and active way. So, I've taken these four spiritual laws as a way of really the four forces of nature for us to really get a hold of these spiritual laws. Two of them I've combined. So we're actually going to talk about the three spiritual laws that undergird this idea that we can shift our focus from creation to the patterns and powers in the field. The first one then is this law of attraction. It works just like the strong force. It is that magnetic nucleus that holds itself in place and that attracts to it exactly what it needs for it to come into being. And so this law of attraction is as deliberately usable as the strong force is in physics. So for those of you who haven't been around for a while, we moved into this space 9.5 years ago. We've been here that long. And when we moved into this space, and we took over this whole area, this whole thing, it was a mess. It had been vacant for 5 years. This area over here was like basically storage, and it was a mess. And quite frankly, we had a very small savings account, not a whole lot of money, but we were bursting out at the seams of where we were, and we needed to move into a larger space. So we did this massive negotiations with the people who we leased this space from, and we said, it's okay, we will do all of the interior remodeling, we'll get all the materials, we'll do all of that stuff, you guys just do the inspectable work. And so basically we promised to do almost $300,000 worth of work and materials with a very small savings account. And so we put a stake in the ground, and we really held the mental equivalent of this being created, of this process, not only manifesting into this beautiful location, this beautiful home that we have, but attracting to it everything that it needed. And every time somebody said to me, well, we don't have the money, and we don't know what we're doing, and we don't have the materials, and we don't know how to do it, what I said was, hold the vision, we will attract to us exactly and precisely what we need. And so, sure enough, we attracted one person who was willing to devote 6 months of their life to it. We paid that person. We attracted another person who essentially devoted 6 months of his life to the project without being paid. We attracted 10 other people who gave thousands of hours themselves. They're all the altars and all the rooms are named after those people. 3,000 hours. 300 volunteers. We raised $150,000 in money and materials, and we did a $300,000 remodel in 5 months. That is how the law of attraction works. It pulls to itself everything that is needed for that nucleus, that mental equivalent. Troward, for those of you who are Troward fans, he calls that a spiritual prototype. And it has that attractive magnetic power. Ernest Holm says this: we should come to believe in the exactness of this law. We should use it definitely and consciously. Not because God loves us. God is already giving everything to us. It is our use of it that moves it into our lives, or into the life of a community, or into the life of the city of Dallas, or into the life of the country, or our planet. This is how we create the very abundance that we want. This requirement applies in every science, and it applies equally to the science of mind, for we are not dealing with chaotic laws that may or may not respond to us. We are dealing with the certainty of a reaction that is equal to the action or response that is equal to our own conviction. Do you see? Our own conviction is that which creates that nucleus and creates that magnet. We are dealing with a definite principle, but the conviction is personal, a thing of warmth, of color, and of feeling. We don't have to believe in something that is not believable. We have to believe in the possibility, and we don't even have to believe in the law. We have to understand and use it. The thing about these laws is that you can't see them, right? You can't say, well, there was the law of gravity, it just went by. Where do you point to say, there's the law of thermodynamics? That's the problem with the laws. You can't actually see them. What do you see? You see the results of them. You see how they play out, but you can't actually point to the law. It's an intangible reality of consciousness. It's part of the fabric of the space-time continuum. And so sometimes that's the challenge we have. Well, I can't see the law of attraction. No, but you can prove it to yourself by using it, by definitely and deliberately using it in exactly the same way. So the second law is this law of circulation. This law of circulation keeps us in the flow of possibility. It keeps us in the flow of this constant, abundant, lavish universe that's going on around us, and reminds us that we are a part of that. And we are experiencing ourselves in that flow to the degree that we are able to see that the universe is constantly flowing in more and more and more abundance. So this law of circulation reminds us that this abundance is winking in and out of existence, just like these electrons are winking in and out of existence. And it is the mental equivalent that holds the shape of the electrons as they're winking into the shape of our lives. Do you see? The law of circulation is happening all of the time, and then we are shaping it in the way in which we hold that idea. All right, so Ernest Holm says this: freely ye have received, freely give. When the law of circulation is retarded, stagnation results. It is only as we allow the divine current to flow through us, on and out, that we really express life. The law of giving and receiving is definite. So the last way in which we engage in these laws, I've coupled them together as one spiritual law, and that is the law of giving and receiving. Now you'll notice that the law of receiving, again, we are receiving our good. And it comes from everywhere. It is that large force, the law of receiving, that allows us to see that our abundance doesn't just come from our paycheck. It doesn't just come from somebody who's going to give us a gift. It doesn't just come in the form of money. You see, it's a large opportunity for us to receive our good and receive abundance in so many ways. And it's important to be open to that receiving. The other side of that is the law of giving. The law of giving and receiving are two sides of the same coin because they are part of that circulation. That's how we specifically participate in this notion of circulation. Now you'll notice, again, law of attraction, law of circulation, Law of receiving, they all move this way. And it's all about our experience of the abundance of the universe that already is. But the law of giving moves this way, doesn't it? And I would suggest to you that it changes the patterns and the power of the field of consciousness into which we give. That it is our giving that changes the fabric of consciousness. You see, when we give, we are changed to be in that place of having, because you can't give something you don't have. By the sheer act of giving, we have declared we have. And we are shifted out of our belief that we don't have, aren't we? The very fabric of our consciousness is changed. And when we give in that way, we are contributing the very thing that we came here to be, ourselves, our contribution. And that contribution is needed and necessary. It is what uplevels and changes the very fabric of consciousness, the consciousness of this community, the consciousness of this area, the consciousness of our planet. Do you see? That's why we're here. We are here to contribute our gift for the furthering of life. And by giving, we are literally changing the fabric of consciousness. It's an extraordinary thing. And so if we want to see a change in ourselves, we want to see a change in the things that matter to us, we want to see a change in the planet, do you see that piece of it is so critical? Now you'll notice that giving and receiving, I've put them together in one law. Because otherwise we give, and then we're resentful. And we don't want to give anymore. Right? Or we get, take, receive, and we wonder why we're not fulfilled. You cannot have one side of this coin without the other. Ultimately, one side or the other will fail. But the two of them together are an unstoppable force, an unstoppable way for us to engage in these laws. So I'm going to invite you to come on Wednesday evenings. Reverend Karen and Aaron are going deeper and deeper into this book. If you're finding that it's working come on Wednesday night if you want to go deeper into all of this, really allowing yourself to move into a new place. So I want to close now as we begin to think about that we're contributing to the pattern and field that is called CSLDallas. So you were attracted here. Something was here, a divine pattern, a divine idea about what we're doing here together as a community. And that attracted you and attracted all of the people that are a part of our community, that have ever been a part of our community. And we see how this law is moving right here, right now. And we contribute. We contribute to the pattern of CSLDallas. We contribute to it. We participate in it. We create those very patterns that outpicture as the Center for Spiritual Living, as this community, as the things that we do together, the way that we are together, the experiences that we have together, the deepening that we walk together. And so as we are moving into this conversation about our own abundance, we understand that it is affecting the abundance of our community as a whole. And that in turn affects the abundance of the place in which we live, which in turn raises the abundance of the planet. And you're a part of that by sitting in your seat, by contributing, by being a part of what's happening here. And each one of you has been attracted to this. You've become a part of us, whether you're a member or a friend, whether this is the first time that you're here or the 225th time that you're here. And your presence and your contribution makes a difference, a monumental difference at every level, as above, so below. And so many people have decided and chosen to be consciously a part of this community. So we have the pleasure now of inviting in our newest members who are going to contribute to the pattern that is in this field. So we're going to invite Randy Craig, our Core Council Chair, to come on up here. He's going to bring our new members up, our pals up. We have a beautiful new ritual that's been created by our ritual team. I'm going to invite Reverend Vince and Reverend Karen to come on up here with me as we move into this ritual. Just really imagine that together, collectively, that as we have come together and our newest members have come to participate, that we are using the law to create the field that is called Center for Spiritual Living Dallas. All right.
Good morning. I'd like to invite our pals to come forward, please. So PALS is an acronym, P-A-L-S, and stands for People as Loving Spirit.
So I'm going to actually back you guys up here. We're going to actually back you guys up right here to standing right here. Okay? Because I actually need you to back up, because you're going to meet your new members. All right, perfect.
Each one of these folks experienced the ritual as a new member at some point in the past, when he or she made the personal choice to be embraced by the community and to add his or her voice, talents, and gifts to the community. In our ceremony of new membership, we represent the embrace of community by pairing each new member with a pal. Membership at CSLDallas is not an obligation. It's not a duty. It's not an ought to. It's not a should. Members are able to vote for leadership and put themselves forward for leadership positions. But from my perspective, membership is simply this: a personal affirmation of resonance with and belonging to this community. In the Science of Mind philosophy, we recognize and celebrate the oneness of the all in symbiotic relationship to the brilliance and uniqueness of each individual. Today, each new member will stand before you in affirmation of oneness, and each pal will stand behind, representing this community's support of each new member's individual brilliance. Our first new member is...
So let's invite our new members up. So we're going to invite our new members up. So come on up here, you guys. Come on up here. Kim, you first. In alphabetical order, you're going to stand right here. You're going to come right up here. And as Randy reads your name, then Vince is going to provide you with a flower, and you're going to come through. Just keep moving the line up. There you go. Right. That's perfect.
Kim Bailey.
We could have some just lovely music. It would be lovely. Yes. So Kim's going to tell us her gift that she gives to CSL Dallas.
Today I lovingly give my creativity, my healing, and my support.
Fatima Ghafour.
Say your gift out loud.
Today I give a loving heart-centered connection.
Sarah Pearson.
Say your gift out loud.
A compassionate, authentic, and safe space.
Joy Rigamer. tone you're richer.
Today I thankfully give an open mind and heart and a continually evolving spirit.
Glow Umphris.
Today, I give the gift of comfort and well-being.
Carolyn Winkleman.
I lovingly give my creativity and generosity.
So here we have our newest flowers. This bouquet represents the bouquet that is the, it's the garden that is us. And now each of our new members has lovingly added their gift. The gift that is part of the new pattern of who we're becoming together. So we're going to welcome our new members in. We're going to say a blessing to them, and then Andrew has a beautiful new song that we're going to get to sing together to them and to each other. So I'm actually going to invite you to just stay seated. Normally we stand for a blessing, but we're going to just stay seated for this moment as we move into the song. So I just invite you to take a moment to open your hearts. And here we have people who have stood on this place before with their hands on the shoulders of those in front of them. And we can imagine that is stretching back into time from the beginning of this center, stretching forward to all those who are yet to come. And as we see that and we open our hearts, I invite you to repeat after me. We welcome you to the garden.
We welcome you to the garden.
May you bloom here with us.
May you bloom here with us.
May you discover the light of love in your heart.
May you discover the light of love in your heart.
And see it reflected back.
And see it reflected back.
And may your life prosper.
May your life prosper.
As we prosper and grow together.
As we prosper and grow together.
We are blessed. By the flower that you are.
By the flower that you are.
And so it is.
So it is. Now I'd like to sing a song to you. So if you're out there in the community, I want to encourage you to memorize these words as quickly as you can so that you can actually look at the new members and sing it to them. This is just their names. So this is a blessing from our community to you, new members. I see the kingdom of God in you, moving in everything that you do. No matter what, this will always be true. I see the kingdom of God in you. Got it? I see the kingdom of God in you. Here we go. I see the kingdom of God in you, moving in everything that you do. No matter what, this will always be true. I see the kingdom of God in you. It's true. And I see the presence of God in you. I see the presence of God in you, moving in everything that you do. Receive it. 'Cause no matter what, this will always be true. I see the presence of God in you. I feel the power. I feel the power you do. Thank you for bringing this to CSL Dallas. This will always be true. I feel the power of love in you. I see the love of God. I see the love of God. It's in you. Moving every no matter what, it's always true. No matter what, this will always be true. I see the love of God in you. Just take that in. That's our blessing to you. And you're a blessing to us. Thank you for being here. And welcome to CSL Dallas. And now is the opportunity where we can all stand and welcome each other and the new members. I see the kingdom. I see the kingdom of God.